Welcome to an episode of Founder in the Chair. I'm your host Veena, and our next guest is an award-winning independent filmmaker who is helping redefine South Asian storytelling in the UK. He is a writer, director, producer and editor, Ajit Mann. Born and raised in South or West London, Ajit's journey hasn't been easy. He faced years of financial struggles, career setbacks, the impact of the pandemic and the heartbreaking loss of his father. But instead of giving up, he turned those challenges into fuel. In 2024, he stopped waiting for opportunities and created his own writing, producing and directing his first independent film called Confess. His latest short film, Dukh, explores powerful themes including generational trauma, casteism and domestic abuse within Punjabi families. It has been selected for international film festivals and was recently screened at New Scotland Yard during South Asian Heritage Month. Ajit's story is proof that resilience and self-belief can take you further than waiting for permission. So I'm so excited to give a warm welcome to Ajit Mann. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to hear this story. And I think so many people are going to relate to it. I've seen the film Dukh.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Really good.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So tell us your inspiration for filmmaking and why this career path. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure, yeah. If you want to start from the beginning, I mean, I've always really been into filmmaking, like since I was at an early age, all I can remember from my childhood is really the love of film, that's what I mainly remember. I grew up on watching so many different types of films, not just your typical blockbusters, but also even like the classics. I grew up in a household where age ratings wasn't really a thing back then. So I saw a lot of films that I shouldn't have seen for my age, like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, all the classics that a kid shouldn't really be watching. I watched all of those when I was like about 5 years old.
Wow.
So it was one of those ones where I watched that and I was just really inspired, like from the get-go, that these things that I saw on the TV, because I used to think it was real when I was growing up. I never used to think it was like fiction.
Yeah.
So I remember specifically, I mean, I tell the story all the time, but I used to have a small TV in my bedroom, like a CRT with the VHS player that you like put in. I had the original Spider-Man movie, 2002. I used to play that on repeat because for me as a kid, you're like, well, Spider-Man is real because I see him on my TV. And I used to play it on repeat so much that I actually ruined the VHS tape because I just kept rewinding it and playing it again. Since then, and then when I found out that this is actually an industry. People actually make these films. When I started seeing behind the scenes, when DVDs started getting released and you actually saw special features on how they made it, I was fascinated from the get-go. So since I was a kid, I've always wanted to get into the film industry. Originally, I wanted to be an actor, but then I tried drama school, hated it so much, really did not enjoy being an actor. So then I just thought, okay, what else can I do to make films? Because I realized with acting, you're just listening to the director on how they want the film made. And so I was like, okay, I want to be the director then. I want to actually make the film. I want to actually have control of the film. But then I also growing up, I had a fascination for, I don't as much anymore, but I used to have a fascination for reading and literature. I'm trying to get back into it, but I used to love reading. I used to love writing, and I still do love writing as well. I used to love writing stories in my English classes. English was always my favorite lesson, so I used to enjoy writing a lot, like original stories, really crazy stories as well, but stories that had depth and stories that actually could be related to us on a human level as well. So through that, I really realized I could actually put the two and two together with my passion for writing and my passion for filmmaking and just make a career out of it. So that's kind of how it all spawned, I used to I think every creator and every filmmaker used to have that cringy YouTube channel back in the day. Just instead of making short films, it was just me just making just the most ridiculous, how these days you TikTokers just make content for content. That was just me with YouTube back in the day. Deleted all those videos. They don't exist anymore.
I was going to say, what is it then? Can we go and watch it?
They're all gone now. So that's kind of how I got into it. I caught the bug really early. I've always been into it. It's my passion. I just loved films from the get-go.
And then you studied.
So then I studied filmmaking at university. So that was obviously you tell your parents, oh, I want to be a filmmaker, and they're like, what the hell is this? You want to study film? What kind of career is that? So I got it all. Everyone always said to me, oh, don't do film at university because, you know, you're not going to get a good career right after. You won't get picked up. It's going to be so difficult to find a job. And they were right. You know, they weren't wrong. It was difficult to get a job straight after university. But that's just what I wanted to do. You know, my mentality at that time was, you know, if I'm going to spend 3 years at university studying what I want to study, I'm going to study film. And a lot of people say to me, oh, but you could have just done like business or IT for 3 years, stuck at it, and then just left and made filmmaking on side. It's like, yeah, I could have done that, but I wouldn't have learnt the lessons. I wouldn't have learnt the theory behind film, not of what we shoot, but why we shoot. Why do we do these shots? Why do we tell these stories? And also the history of film and the history of cinema. And I really value that actually as well. You know, I value going to university and studying that, because even though a lot of it was mainly theory, I did a bit of practical, but it was mainly like a theory course. I kind of appreciate that because it just got me to really think about, why do we do these things in film? You know, like, why do filmmakers use certain colors? Why do they use certain lighting? Why do they use, like, you know, certain styles of filmmaking, you know, all these like different things. It actually has meaning behind it. It's not just, oh, that shot looks cool because it looks cool. It's like, no, they've done it because they're trying to convey certain emotions, certain feelings, trying to tell the story in certain ways. So yeah, that's kind of how like I kind of got into just like getting into the film industry. And then really after university, you know, it was really difficult because with my university, the one thing I didn't do, which everyone told me to do, I just ignored everyone, was network. I did not have a good network. You know, a lot of my friends that did filmmaking, they kind of just lost passion for it in their third year. They went on to doing like marketing, business, you know, actual like proper career jobs, or either working in like media houses as like editors, which, you know, good on them for doing that. But for me, I kind of, like, I left university, I started working like kit rental houses, so like renting out equipment to, you know, like BBC, ITV and stuff like that. But it was boring, it was long, you know, lots of manual labor, really long hours, that I kind of just like fell out of it. So then I started working in TV for a bit straight after. So I landed a job as like, almost like they call them like the kit room guys, but it's just like the guys that loan out the kit that the TV studio owns. So that's just what I was doing. I was just really like lending out like camera kit, sound kit. But then on occasion, I had the opportunities, if we didn't have any freelance camera operators, I would then step in for the camera operators and actually get to shoot some TV shows. And actually get to like do a bit of sound for like some TV. I did a bit of like VT works, like going on location and actually like shooting like little inserts for like their version of like the one show and, you know, shows like that. So I did TV for like a year. And then after that, I kind of just like went a bit more like freelance. So I started just being like, I want to just do my own work. So I did a couple of like freelance gigs, nothing like substantial, I would say, nothing like that, like well known. It was mainly just like helping out up and coming YouTubers to like, you know, film like some of their work, a bit of camera work on that side, bit of sound work. I worked as a lighting operator for a bit as well. So like for like certain shows that needed a bit of like help bringing lights, that's kind of just what I did. And then I kind of just like went a bit on and off, you know. At that time, before the pandemic, this is 2019, the industry was already starting to be a bit overwhelmed with jobs. There weren't that many jobs already going. So I kind of just like said, okay, I'm not really getting any work. I need to find a bit more stable job. So I just did like random odd jobs. You know, one point I was an ambulance driver. And then at another point I was working at Sainsbury's, you know, just anything just to get money. Once the pandemic hit though, I think that's just when everything changed. So all these like jobs that I was like doing, they just weren't going around anymore, you know. I didn't want to work within driving ambulances during the pandemic just because I knew I was going to get overwhelmed and stressed. So I kind of just left that job. At the time, I was actually supposed to work for an edit house, but because of the pandemic, they kind of just absolved that position. So that didn't, that completely fell through. So at that time during COVID, I was really just being a freelance editor. So I would basically work on Fiverr, which is like a freelance website. So I just get paid by you know, all sorts of people just looking for an editor. You know, the main job that I had, there was this one DJ in New York. So I was working for a couple months. I was working on his like promotional videos. The pay was great, but it was trying to work New York hours in London was just absolute just draining, I would just have to stay up late at night so that we could have clear communication, and I'll end up like sleeping throughout the day. But then during the day I had my own other responsibilities to do as well, because obviously it's not practical. But so that's basically what happened there. And then sadly in 2020, that's when my father passed away. So he had been suffering from multiple myeloma for about 8 years. He was suffering from it, and then sadly he passed away in 2020. And then I think that's really, for me, that's when the everything just switched. So at that time I just thought to myself, well, it actually didn't switch in the creative terms, it switched more so within the, I need to just do something a bit more stable now. So at that time I kind of just gave up on filmmaking completely, because I thought, look, like I think for a guy, like your mentality, especially when you lose your dad at such a young age, you're like, oh damn, I've got no one to provide for me anymore. You don't have that like father figure who can provide. Because I was 24 when he passed away, which isn't like, I wouldn't say it's that old, like it's still quite young. So at that time, like I was still a bit dependent on him. So I just thought, okay, I need to really just get a full-time job and just make my own money and actually like earn a living, get my own place to live as well, just because I can't really, like, now I can't depend on my dad anymore. So at that time I started just looking for jobs, landed a job within education, so kit hire, like technician for university. And since then I've worked at like various universities basically for the same job, but the advantage of it has been that it's Monday to Friday, full-time job, permanent position, get paid a decent amount. So at that time I was like, you know what, I'm happy now, I've got my full-time job now, I don't really need to explore anything else. So within that time as well, so I've been dating my girlfriend at the time since 2017. So at that time, I also proposed to her as well. This was in 2022. So after that as well, I was like, right, I need to save some money now. I need to get a place to live. I need to also get, we want to get married as well. So we kind of just did the thing that a lot of like creatives do, but in the opposite way. So what I actually did was, me and my wife, we mortgaged a house. So we got a mortgage, we got a house, and then we got married as well. And we kind of just got like the traditionally responsible stuff just like out the way. We're like, look, we've got a house now, we've got married. And I think after getting married, that's when the thing clicked for me, where I was like, for that entire like relationship, the only thing we've ever thought about was saving money to get a house and saving money for our wedding. So once we got a house, we were like, now it's just saving money for the wedding. We did our wedding. And then after our wedding, we were like, we can actually do whatever we want now. Like we don't have any big responsibilities anymore, because we were just thinking, we're like, what should we do? And I just thought to myself, I had a conversation with her, and I just thought, maybe this might be the best time to actually pursue my filmmaking career. Maybe this is now the right moment. So after like talking with her and like discussing a bit of a plan, we kind of just agreed, like, okay, this year, just make one short film. Make one short film, the easiest short film you can make, no budget whatsoever, literally as low key as you can make it. So through that's when Confess was made, so I wrote it. I then formed my crew. I mainly actually formed students that I had worked with from the university, because I worked within the actual like film course for the university. So it was like giving students a chance, but also I knew for the fact that I didn't have to pay them because they were just there for the experience, so that was the advantage of that. But also not only that, but also their skill set as well. I picked students that I knew they can actually get the job done. They're great at what they do. But then through this like career, I found then the DOP, who was Charlie Painter, and he reached out to me on it's like the LinkedIn of acting star now, and then he was like, I'm really interested in working with you. I also have a Red camera, so a Red Raptor, which is like one of the most high-end cameras for the film industry. Okay. And I just thought it would be quite crazy if I just shot my first ever film on one of the most highest quality cameras that you can. So I just thought to myself, you know what, let's just do it. And so we did that, hired him for it. I'm really proud of it. It was a very simple film. It's just about literally two guys that sat across each other. They're just, the premise of the film is just, it's a big interrogation, Right. They just sat across each other, and the entire film is just one big interrogation. But because of the story and because of the way we shot it, I tried to make it as interesting as possible. Yeah. And then once I wrapped on that film, I was like, that's it, I'm a filmmaker now. So really, I think that's when I started then calling myself a filmmaker, because I was like, I've made one film. And that's all you really need to do initially.
And what year was that?
That was 2024. That was 2024. So it was actually the same year I got married. So what was funny was I got married in April. And then we were like, oh, okay, we can relax now, we can chill. And then in June, that's when I made Confess. So straight after the wedding, it was just straight to pre-production, you know. We definitely did go for a honeymoon. We went for a honeymoon in September, but it was
God.
like, yeah. But yeah, since then, it's been like 100% go, you know. The momentum has been there, and now I'm a filmmaker. Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
So I saw you on Instagram. I think it was on UB1, UB2. They had a little clip of your film Dukh.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
So the UB1, UB2 thing. Yeah, so I mean, with Dukh, me and UB1, UB2 been working together for quite a while now.
Right.
And what happened was I reached out to them and I just said, look, well, actually, sorry, let me go back a bit. So what happened was initially, when I just tried to make Dukh, I was like, I need to basically hire an all Sikh cast, you know, because it's about a Sikh family. I need to make sure all my cast members are Sikh as well, because they can relate to it as well. And also it gives more Sikh people an opportunity as well. And at that time, I didn't really have that big of an Instagram following. So I was using all my casting calls through Star Now. So at that time, I put that casting call out. I said, I'm looking for a full Sikh cast. Are you guys interested? I got about, I want to say 3 responses, and it was all just to play one character. And at the time I was like, oh God, like, how am I going to do this? You know, like, I can't, you know, make this film. At that point, to be honest, I thought this film is dead in the water now because no one wants to apply for it. I don't think it's interesting enough. And also, where are all the South Asian actors? I can't find any South Asian actors. I tried to look at my actor friends that I knew. I sent it to them. They weren't really interested in it. So I was like, okay, what do I do? So I was scrolling on Instagram, and then on Instagram, I already followed UB2 or UB1, UB2 at the time, because obviously being from Southall, you naturally do follow them. It's like the news of Southall, you know.
It is.
So I followed them. I saw their page, and I was like, I wonder if they'll do a promotion for me. So I contacted them. They were more than happy to do it. They understood where I was coming from as well. I think the guy, I'm not gonna lie, actually, I don't even know his name, but like I think the guy is actually like a filmmaker or videographer, the guy that runs the page. Right. But with them, they completely understood where I was coming from. So they said, yeah, we can put it out and we'll see, like, you know, if it does get a response. Now, I had very low expectations. I didn't think it would get a single response. And also they posted it out the day that I went on a skiing trip to France. So I came back home to basically be initially ready to pack my suitcase because the trip was the next day. And then as I get out my car, I just see like literally 1,000 notifications on my phone, and I'm like, what the hell has happened? And then I look at my phone, and it was all the UB1, UB2 likes, comments, DMs flooded with people that wanted to audition for it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And it was quite funny because I was like, at that point, I wasn't really an established filmmaker, you know, like I made one film. Some of the clips were on Instagram, but it wasn't like I had a show. I didn't even have a show reel, you know. I didn't have a show reel. I didn't have really that big of a portfolio. I think it just being on UB1, UB2, and I think also with that page, you don't really see casting calls that much these days. You don't really see much about film on that page. So I think a lot of people saw it and they were like, this is an opportunity for me. So we had a lot of actors that auditioned for it. And, you know, I responded to so many people. And seeing some of the auditions, I was just like, it was overwhelming purely just because how many people sent in auditions. But since then, like whenever I've needed something to do with like marketing, I think they've really gotten behind this film as well because of the impact that it's had within, I mean, our local South Asian community. They've been more than happy to post whatever, you know. I'm like, okay, it's gotten to a point where I'll literally just be like, I'll get my phone out, get on Instagram, and be like, hey, I need this post to be put up. Can you do it? And they're like, yeah, sure. and it just happens, you know. So we've got a good working relationship with them as well. And I try my best to also share their stuff as well, you know, because I think what they do for Southall especially, it's brilliant. It's a
great page.
It's an actual great page. And, you know, it also just, it keeps the news just focused within South Asia. And also what I love is they promote so many South Asian creators like yourself as well, you know, and like, you know, so many other like people that are up and coming, they're happy to help the people that just need that bit of a push, you know, people that they don't know effectively like how to market like straight away. I think that's a great resource to use for marketing because it has so much reach, you know. I think every single time I post that we do a collaboration with UB1, UB2, I truly believe like my following increases by like at least like 300 followers every single time. Yeah, which is crazy, you know.
We're not trying to plug UB1, UB2 here, but it's a great page.
But they are a great page. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, they are. They're very, very good. I mean, I wouldn't have seen
exactly.
And then I reached out to you through my friend Hodge.
The film wouldn't have been made without UB1, UB2. To be that fact, I think if I didn't do that, I would have just given up on the project, and it wouldn't have been made at all. And you know, people wouldn't have come to the screenings, people wouldn't have watched it on Indie Crib, you know, people wouldn't know what this film is. So they like every single time now I make a film, I always put special thanks UB1, UB2, because they genuinely have helped me out quite a lot.
That's brilliant to hear that. So if someone's listening now and they don't know what Dukh means, do you want to explain that?
Well, it means like a variety of things, but really, the ultimate theme that it means is the pain. You know, it can mean pain, sorrow, misery, depression. You know, I mean, it's funny. It's like in Punjabi language, there's not really a word for depression. You just say, you know, I'm in Dukh right now. You know, so like it's just like sorrow. You know, like to describe it in one word, it's really like sorrow. That's basically what it means. And I think when, as a South Asian, you see that name for a film, you're like, oh God, like. What is this film about? This is gonna be something depressing, and I would say it is quite depressing when you watch it. But you know, it's that thing. It was like, you know, when people say like, oh, you know, this film's very dark, it's very shocking. Oh my God, like you've made something very visceral. This is very raw. I'm like, yeah, it's called Dukh. What do you expect? You know,
and
what do you expect?
You know, a lot of people probably relate to it.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah. It's basically, I would say, it's what we relate to as South Asians, but I think also it's what we relate to as South Asians, but we don't want to admit that we relate to it. Do you know what I mean? You know, I think a lot of people, especially people on like social media, you'll see them and they show their most positive side ever, but they don't want to admit that sadly, stuff like this is probably what's happening in their personal life, but they just don't want to show it, and we don't want to talk about it. We want to just brush it under the rug. So really, for me, it was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. We need to actually be open, and we actually need to tell these stories now. Because if we don't tell these stories, you know, it's just going to keep happening. The cycle's going to repeat, and how many more generations are going to be traumatized? You know, how many more generations are going to have to suffer through trauma before someone actually steps up and is like, this isn't okay, you know? So it's kind of what I wanted to do with this film, you know, it's just to actually, really, it was just to like, I want to say cause a bit of chaos, but in a good way, you know, just call it like, you know, I feel like we're so wired in that we have to accept we have to accept that thing just because it's just the thing to do. It's tradition. Whereas me, and my mentality has always been, is why should I conform to this? You know, why should I have to do that? You know, because what I'm seeing is really negative things. It's causing pain for a lot of people. It's causing real hurt for people, you know. People have to suppress this type of stuff that they have to go through. And it's just like, why do we have to do this? You know, I think we should speak about it, because if we speak about it and if we get topics like this within so many different households, it will stop eventually, you know, it will actually stop, you know, people will actually wake up and be like, yeah, we need to do something different, you know.
So if there's someone listening right now who hasn't seen it yet, do you want to give a little synopsis about what it's about?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to like go into a bit more like detail about the film now anyway, considering that like, you know, it's up on Indie Crib as well. And I'm really open about like talking about like the themes of the film. But ultimately the synopsis really is, it's about a guy, his name's Jasbir. Now he comes from a very dysfunctional family, but a very traditional family where, you know, they're rooted in a lot of, I would say like tradition, but also like bad history that they've kind of just brushed under the rug. So he has gone away from the home for 3 years to go to university to study. There he met his girlfriend, and really what the film was about, he comes from university, it's his first day back, and he wants to introduce his girlfriend to his family. And really it just shows, like, he goes back thinking, oh, I've left university, you know, they probably missed me, and they probably, you know, have changed their ways because, you know, I've been away from them. They probably realized, you know, why I wanted to move out. But when he comes back, he finds out that isn't the case. And actually, you know, even darker things have transpired. And his brother, who he's been really close with since, you know, they were kids, he realized he's now started to, you know, change as well, but not, you know, he's starting to become a bit more influenced by his father especially. But really what the film is about, you know, which I'm always happy to disclose, is it's really, the overall theme is about domestic abuse. You know, it's about domestic abuse, the normalization of domestic abuse, toxic masculinity, and all these effectively all these negative traits that we see within Punjabi households. I'm specifically saying Punjabi, but it's also South Asian. It's not, and before anyone says as well, yes, it's not just South Asian, it's also everyone, you know. But I wanted to focus on the South Asian side because I think it's so prominent within our communities because of what I would say the honor violence, you know, the honor-based violence, and how honor is so toxic within Punjabi households, you know. And it's like, that's just kind of what I wanted to expose in this entire film, you know, showing how honor, by letting honor take control of the household, how it can really damage a household, and it can really effectively brainwash a lot of people, really men in the family, you know. It can really corrupt men because they go their entire lives saying, you know, oh, my dad was like this, so I have to be like this. Oh, his dad was like this, I have to be like this. It's just what they've known, you know. They've not known anything else. So it's really just showing people like, look, you know, this is probably all these conversations that you've had, this is probably what you've actually witnessed, you know. So a lot of these conversations that you see in the film, they're very visceral, they're very like, oh damn, like he's really said that, that's a bit extreme. And it's like, no, that's not extreme, this is just day-to-day stuff. This is literally what we witness on the day-to-day, you know. So really it was me just using an outlet to be like, to vent my frustrations, you know. I mean, I know I wasn't in the best place mentally when I was thinking of a second film, because I had a lot of like pent-up frustration from like my own like, you know, side growing up as well, you know. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that I've seen stuff like this growing up as well. Friends I know have had situations worse happen to them as well, you know, where like I've literally gone into school one day and like I've seen bruises on their faces. I'm like, what happened there? Like, oh yeah, my dad hit me. I'm like, what? And I was like, yeah, my dad just punched me in the face. And you just normalizing and like, what? Like, why did we ever normalize this type of behavior? You know, it's just so, yeah, it's just crazy, you know. Like, with that, a lot of people, they grow up their entire lives thinking that all of these toxic traits are actually normal. And at the time I was like, you know what, I'm done being silent, you know. I've spent my entire life being silent, and spending my entire life, like, you know, it's caused me so many like mental health issues in my life as well. I've suffered from depression and anxiety myself. I deal with migraines on a day-to-day basis, you know. And it's, when I really looked at it on why that is, it's probably because of stress, you know, and it's probably just because of like what I've witnessed growing up as well, and like, you know, the struggles that like especially like the women in my family have gone through as well, you know. Like my mom, like divorced from my dad, not necessarily to say that my dad like was an abuser, because I wouldn't say he was an abuser, I wouldn't classify with him that, but for her it was more so within like the extended family, you know, like seeing like how badly the extended family would like treat her, and like not even just like physically but verbally, mainly verbally as well. It's not really the physical violence, it's more the verbal. And like, because sometimes like what you say to a person can be worse than actually like hitting them, you know, like degrading them, like, you know, calling them like really bad names. That can really mess up a person their entire life. So for me, I just felt I had so much pent up frustration for so many years, and I just thought, I'm going to write this. Let me just write this. I probably won't make this. I wrote it and I was like, I'm going to try to make this. Let's try to make this. And every time, I remember it was amazing, like talking to the cast and some of the crew that were of Punjabi background. And they were just like, it kept looking at me and kept talking to me and just kept saying to me, are you sure you want to make this? My wife kept saying to me, once you make this, there's no going back. You do understand
it's out
this.
There then.
It's out there.
Yeah.
And I looked at her like dead in the eye and I said, I know, I'm making it. And I had to accept the fact that I may end up becoming one of the most hated people in the community for making this. Or people can actually look at this on the other light and actually understand what I'm trying to achieve and actually relate to this and actually have talks about this. And luckily, it has mainly gone for the latter. I'm really grateful that, you know, I mean, my thing is, look, I'm a filmmaker. I'll make what I want to make. If you want to love me, you can love me. If you want to hate me, you can hate me. I don't care, you know. But ultimately, if you're watching this film and there is absolute hatred coming from you, what I want to ask is, why is that hatred coming from you? Why are you so defensive about this?
Are you holding a mirror up?
There you go. Exactly. So that's kind of what I've had with the approach of the film. And to put it lightly, like that is, I mean, I'm not going to give away too much about what happens in the film, because as you've seen in the film, there's some really intense sequences. And what a lot of people actually won't expect is there's a bit of comedy in it as well. I've tried to sprinkle in a bit of like funny moments, just because I like when my films playing on people's emotions. Because I remember when I showed it in Crouch End, like someone said to me, I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is actually quite a light-hearted film, until the things happen in the film, and they were like, I hate you so much. That in a joking way. They were like, I hate you so much because you put me through such an emotional roller coaster. That I was like, yeah, but this is what filmmaking's about. And that's been my thing. It's like, if I'm making a film, I'm going to put you through some emotion and stuff. I'm going to make a drama, you're going to feel, And the next one, which is a horror, if I'm making a horror, the goal is to make people as scared as possible,
Yeah. Oh, is that your next one then?
That is the next one, yeah.
The next one's a horror?
Yeah, it is the next one. Yeah, there's a horror, yeah.
And when will we be seeing that?
I'm aiming to do a premiere in October or November. So I've actually done quite a quick turnaround, because it's a really short film. It's only 24 minutes, this one, yeah. So a lot shorter than Dukh. Don't want to get too much into it, but it's also based on a South Asian topic.
Oh, really?
And it's got a bit of South Asian folklore in it as well. So this one was more so, I just wanted to have a bit of fun, because when you make a film that's so heavy like Dukh, if you make a film that's so heavy like Dukh, you are, in such it does affect your mentality as well, because you have to, talk about these themes every single day. When we're doing interviews like this, I have to talk about these themes all the time. That I would just thought to myself, I want to just make something fun now, I want to make something, where I don't have to think a bit too much. I want to just make something just for a bit of fun, a bit of entertainment. And for me, my idea was, what do I find fun? Horrors. I find horrors really fun. I find horrors, I think, one of the most entertaining genres of film, because of the visceral reaction you get from audiences. So I was like, you know what, we're going to make a horror.
I don't watch horrors.
Sorry about that.
I will watch yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I'm sure it's not always smooth sailing. Tell me about some setbacks that you've had to overcome filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean, setbacks that I've always had to overcome. I mean, the main thing's always just like locations, dealing with location managers, scheduling is always tough as well. I mean, a lot of the setbacks that come with me, they happen before the project even starts. I've actually cancelled so many projects just because it wasn't aligning with cast or crew, and location wise it wasn't aligning either. And even for me, what people don't realize is I work full time still. I'm not a full time filmmaker still. I'm still working full time, and with that, you still have the work time stress as well. You still have the full time work stress, as well as trying to make film on the other side. So, I mean, before Dukh, I was actually supposed to make a horror film, and I had it fully announced and everything. I had my crew ready, I had pre-production ready, I had locations booked, and then all of a sudden, locations all cancelled on me. They all cancelled on me because they just said, oh yeah, actually we just decided we've got bigger... I mean, fair enough. If you get paid more money for a bigger production, you're going to take the bigger production. And they just said it's working on those dates that you're filming. We've had to go with the other production. Then that happened. And then I started, reaching out to crew. Then some of the crew members couldn't make it as well. They weren't available for those dates. And seeing the shooting schedule, had I made that film, I would have had to have shot every single weekend in May. And which would have been just really logistically just wouldn't have worked, because there were also so many locations within different parts of the UK. And I was thinking, with the budget that I had, I was like, if I'm going to make this film, I'm going to need at least 30 grand to make this film, it's just not going to work. So, I mean, I had to just, at that point, one of the most heartbreaking things to do as a filmmaker is to announce a film, have it fully announced, start doing the marketing, and then have to cancel the film completely. So, and one of the worst things as a filmmaker, for me, what I don't like doing is having to announce it on social media. Hey guys, the film's cancelled. Sorry about that. But yes, that's basically just what I had to do, cancel the film completely. And then that's when I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put that to the side and just make something else, in that situation. I always just recommend people of look, if you're just finding that it's not going to work in pre-production, plan your pre-production first before you announce the film. Make sure that it's logistically going to work before you actually say, oh yeah, I'm actually going to make this film now. Because if it's not going to logistically work and you start marketing the film and you keep saying, oh, we're going to make this, and then you have to cancel it, it is quite damaging as a filmmaker for yourself, because it can make you come across as unreliable. At the end of the day, we're all human, you know, and films do get cancelled at the end of the day. The amount of times, like, you see all these Marvel films that have been announced they're gonna, you know, happen, and then they all get cancelled at the last minute as well, you know. It happens, it's the industry. But I think when you're first starting out, especially if you haven't made much on portfolio and you keep announcing films and then you then keep cancelling films, you kind of then start to demotivate yourself as well. So really, if you're gonna like make films, you know, you need to just know it's actually possible to make your first film, you know, and then you'll have more opportunities to go more ambitious, and then people will actually start paying you to actually make the films rather than you have to do it out of your own pocket, you know. But yeah, you know, setbacks like that have always happened as well, even on days as well. Like, I remember when we were shooting Confess, we got to location manager didn't even show up for like, you know, 20 minutes. And on a film set, what people don't realize about a film set, every minute counts. Every single minute counts. You have a schedule, because making films, the day goes so quickly and it takes so long to set up just one shot. It can take from 5 minutes to even half an hour to set up just one shot, and that's one frame in the entire film. That's what people don't understand. So for us to be delayed like that, and we had a schedule that happened, we had the police come in on us on the first day of Confess, because what the location manager didn't tell us was that the day before, their location got burgled into. Someone smashed the window and stole a bunch of their equipment. So we were like, what's going on? And the police like came and they had to take forensics. The funniest thing was they came, and it's an interrogation film. So they walked in to a actor covered in fake blood, tied to a chair with knives on the table, and they were actually like really cool about it. They didn't like say anything, or like, I mean, the most they said, they were like, oh, that looks really intense. Like, they clearly saw it was a film shoot. But that forensic swab, it took like an hour of the day. And yeah, that first day, I think there was a moment where I sat like on the side and I just thought, I'm giving up. Like, you know, I've had enough. Like, this is just too much for me. But then once I just like sat with myself, took a moment, took a breather, I just got up and we're like, no, we're going to do this. Today is a write-off. Tomorrow we'll make up the time the next day. You know, we'll make up the time the next day. I think sometimes in film shoots, you just have to take one day at a time. You know, there's always delays. That's what people don't realize in filmmaking. It's like, you can schedule and you can keep your schedule as much as you can, but really on days, you never know what's going to happen, and there's always delays, but you will end up like, you know, catching up. And that's what we did. You get to a stage where when you realize you're behind, the crew really like picks up and they're like, right, let's just make it as efficient as possible. And yeah, we ended up actually finishing the film. But that first day was just tough. It was absolutely, yeah, a nightmare to shoot.
So if someone's listening now and obviously they haven't gone to university and studied like you did, but they really want to make a film. Can they still do it?
100% they can. It's easy to make a film, you know. I mean, we all have devices on like in our pockets called phones, you know, that have cameras. You can easily just pick up your phone and just make a film like that, you know. So many filmmakers have done it as well, where that's how they made their first film. It's absolutely, in this day and age as well, I think it's so much easier to be a filmmaker than it was back when I was studying, because phone cameras weren't that great of quality. Now, you know, all these kids that you see, that they have like the latest iPhone, or at least they don't have it, their friends have it as well. I think that's another thing that people need to realize as well. It's like, I want to make a film, cool, but it takes a team to make a film. You can be a solo filmmaker, but who's going to act in your film? Who's going to do the sound for your film? Or if you're not going to use sound, fine, but who's going to, you know, like help you out on set? Who's going to help cut the film? Who's going to, like, you know, just basic things like, you know, okay, if an actor needs like a bottle of water, who's going to get that bottle of water? You know, little things like that people don't realize. I think it's absolutely, you don't need to go to university to become a filmmaker at all. You know, I am a strong believer in that. But my thing is, you still need to educate yourself within the realm of film. So if you're just picking up your phone and you're just shooting shots that have no composition whatsoever, that don't frame well, that don't cut easily as well, you know, then you're not really making a film. You're just making a compilation of random shots. You know, you need to know the language of cinema. You need to know the 180-degree rule, you know, which a lot of people that are making films don't actually know, which is, it's a line that you need to actually shoot within that line. So you can only shoot 180 degrees. So if your camera is here and you're filming like a talking dialogue, your camera then can't be over here. Your camera has to be over here. Otherwise, that's known as a jump cut. So the shot will actually jump to the next person and it's going to look jarring to the viewer. Whereas if it cuts from here and then you cut over there, then it will be completely smooth. I mean, I always recommend to people, watch a film next time, read it up on the 180 degree rule, then watch a film and you'll realize almost every film uses the 180 degree rule because it makes it seamless. So I think there's so many resources on YouTube as well where people can learn this stuff. I mean, so many filmmakers. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, unfortunately, universities are starting to see low numbers is because, especially in the film courses, because a lot of it, in all honesty, you can learn on YouTube. If not YouTube, at least you have LinkedIn Learning as well. You know, you have so many new resources that a lot of up and coming filmmakers can use. And to be honest, a lot of filmmakers that I know personally, that are really good, they didn't go to university. A lot of filmmakers didn't go to university. They didn't go to film school, which is like university specifically for filmmaking. I mean, the biggest director right now, his name is Christopher Nolan. He didn't study at film school. You know, he studied at university, but he studied English literature. You know, so even if you're at university and you're studying the course that you don't want to study, you can absolutely still be a filmmaker. It's never too late to be a filmmaker. I know people in their 40s, 50s starting their filmmaking career and have gone on to actually make short films. So it's never too late. You know, you can anyone can be a filmmaker. They just need to really, anyone can be a filmmaker, but you need to have the passion to stay as a filmmaker. Yeah.
So Ajit, what's your proudest achievement in this field so far?
Oh, there's so many big moments that have happened for me personally. I will have to say, I mean, it was mentioned earlier about New Scotland Yard, you know, that was, I mean, is it okay if I can do two, actually?
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, like New Scotland Yard, we screened Dukh at New Scotland Yard, which is, if a lot of people don't know, that's the Metropolitan Police headquarters in the UK. So shout out to Nisha Chandra. She organised this event. Me and her have been working quite closely together on a lot of these screenings. And she basically is a Metropolitan Police officer herself. So she wanted to, showcase this film within her colleagues, but also other South Asian members of the Met Police. And she said, would you like to do it at New Scotland Yard? And when she said that, I was just like mind blown. I was like, wait, you mean the New Scotland Yard? Are you kidding me? It's because I used to walk past that when we used to go to school trips, like London Eye and stuff, we always used to go past it. I mean, my friends, we always used to joke around and be like, oh yeah, you'll never be able to go in there. It's like one of the most secure facilities in the world. You know, if you go in there, you'll get arrested straight away on site. And then flashback to now, like this was only a couple months ago, I think it was July it happened actually, where we screened Dukh at New Scotland Yard, we were all the way on the top floor on the skyline suite, had the view of central London, and to showcase this film that talks about domestic abuse to members of the Met Police, that was just an absolutely rewarding experience because it was almost like education. We kind of got to educate like police officers, but also seeing police officers that work within these fields, that work within domestic abuse as well, seeing their reaction. I mean, I saw so many people crying and them coming up to me and being like, you got it absolutely spot on, because they see this stuff day to day. They deal with these cases. To get validation from them that meant the world to me, because it just proved that I did my research. I actually treated this topic with grace and dignity and didn't make a mockery out of it, because that was the last thing I wanted to do. That was one of my proudest achievements. But the proudest achievement for me, really, it was actually we showed the film. It was my first time showing one of my films at a View cinema, and this was View Reading, and we showed it to a charity called Project Salama, but the majority of the audience in that screening were survivors of domestic abuse. That for me will always be my proudest moment, just because I got to really tell all these guys' stories in one film, and they came up to me and they told me, I got to see myself on screen. You portrayed my story. I remember after, it was quite emotional, but it was also really rewarding. I had a line of people after the screening coming up to me, just wanting to talk to me, take pictures of me, but it was mainly just because they wanted to come up to me and just say to me, thank you for telling the story. And
I felt seen and heard.
But also I was just like, I knew this topic would resonate with people, I think that day was when I realized I didn't realize how much of an impact this film was going to have. I think that's what I wanted to happen. I wanted to have a big impact, but I didn't expect it to have that big of an impact. To see not only just members of the South Asian community, but members of the Afro-Caribbean community, the African community, you know, coming out as well, saying to me, like, you know, I mean, I had members, I did a Q&A and I had like one Jamaican lady, and she said, so when are you going to do a film about you know, this domestic abuse, but within Black communities? And I said to her, I was like, I don't think I'm right to do that because I'm not from that community. And she said, you are more than right to do that story. And I was like, what? Like, getting validation from that. And I was like, really? I was like, okay. I was like, maybe I will, but obviously still do my research. But for me, I think that day was just, it was so rewarding because, like, you know, I've grown up and seen so many women that have gone through similar situations. To make a film for people that I've seen suffer, like, I don't know, that meant the world to me, you know. And I always say, like, you know, as a filmmaker, yeah, you want those film festival like awards, you want those BAFTAs, Oscars, you know, these like high prestigious events and stuff, you want the money. But for me, that was the biggest reward, you know. That was the equivalent of, for me, for that was like winning an Oscar, you know, because for me, I was like, I'm actually, not to like hype myself up a bit, but I don't know, I just felt like I'm actually making a difference, and me and my team are making a difference. As filmmakers, we're actually making a difference, and we're actually, you know, trying to get this message out there, and we're trying to like help communities as well, you know. There's that. I know I said two, but I'll also just give this one little plug as well. But another one was also screening Dukh in my hometown of Southall. That was the biggest moment for me because it was full circle, you know. I got to come back home and actually show the film in Southall, hearing people from my own community, you know, hearing the guy from the Park Avenue Gurdwara, like one of the committee members, he was there as well, watched the film, and hearing his validation for it. I was like, man, I can't believe, like, you know, I'm really lucky with some of the moments I've had with Dukh. I just didn't expect to see this film reach out on so many platforms, reach out to so many people, and I'm really, really happy that it has resonated with a lot of people. My thing is, though, like, you know, as much as I am happy with this, you know, I still believe we can achieve a lot more, you know. I still believe we can. So the journey for Dukh isn't over, for sure. Yeah.
No, it definitely isn't. And that's why I reached out to you, because I thought, you know what, let's get this film a little bit more exposure. After speaking to my friend Harj and obviously seeing it on UB1, UB2, I just thought this message needs to get out a bit more, because 100%. I can resonate with it. I know lots of my friends, family, lots of people will resonate with it. And even watching this podcast. So honestly, well done.
Thank you.
Well done. So, Indie Crib.
Yes.
That's where I watched it. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, sure. So, Indie Crib is a streaming platform founded by Tay. You know, he's a filmmaker himself. Great filmmaker. He's done quite a lot of work. I don't obviously know the full story because that's his business. But for me, the way I found out about it was they reached out to me on Instagram. I saw them, a very up and coming like streaming platform. What they do is you pay a subscription. You don't pay a subscription. You subscribe to the platform, and it's a free subscription. You know, it's completely free. All you have to do is make an account. And really, what it is it's a streaming platform for independent filmmakers that have tried to get the film distributed. They can't get the film distributed, but they want to get their film seen. And they want to try to make some profits off it as well. So Indie Crib, what they do is they will speak to you, they'll reach out to you, or you can reach out to them. They reached out to me, which I was really fortunate about. And it was basically to get the film onto Indie Crib. I just basically had to show it to them. They review it. They decide whether they want to have it on their platform or not. They watched it. They really liked it. We got it on the platform. And then what you can do is, once you watch the film, there's a optional there's an option, if people want to, they can actually donate to the filmmaker. So it's literally just a little donation, like, you know, doesn't have to be a lot, like £1, £3.
I think it starts from £3.
Yeah, literally £3. Yeah, exactly.
That,
and it's just an optional like donation if you want to like pay the filmmaker or, you know, filmmaking team whatever you want. Really, because it's a scheme just to help filmmakers fund their next projects as well. You know, which always will help. And again, every little penny counts for funding projects. But not only that, just having it on a platform, what audiences can do, they can rate the film, they can watch the film, you know, they can decide, you know, like whatever rating they want. They can review it, leave comments. When I looked last at Dukh, I don't know when this episode is going to get released, but as of this recording, we are the most watched film on Indie Crib, which is, yeah, we are actually the most watched film on Indie Crib. Yeah, which is absolutely crazy. Every time I check, I've checked almost every day now, and we actually do have the most views on Indie Crib.
That's brilliant.
I think we're 4th rated on it, which, not so bad, but yeah, to be most watched is, that's quite impressive, you know. I'm really
I sent it out on some WhatsApp groups.
Thank you.
As
Yeah,
well.
I think that's definitely helped. Yeah.
Well, no, we'll also put it out with this podcast as well. But
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
And next one's going to be a horror.
Next one is going to be a horror.
I'm going to come and watch that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Even though I don't like horrors.
Thank you.
Is there anything else as a parting comment that you would like to say?
Yeah, sure. I mean, parting comments is, if you're a filmmaker out there, don't be afraid to reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram is Ajit Mann filmmaker. I'm always happy to give advice to any filmmakers on whatever level. I really want to see, especially South Asian filmmakers, achieve more and be more noticed. I think we're great as individuals and we are great as a community, but I think we need to be a bit more mainstream as well. So I think more South Asian filmmakers, we need to get together and actually make stuff together and actually promote each other's work, because the more we can do that, the more we can actually, get out there. And also just one little thing as well, I am also going to be running the London Marathon next year. So that's a little thing that I want to plug. I do have a fundraising page on my Instagram page. So if people would like to donate, every little penny does help. I'm fundraising for myeloma UK because that was the cancer that my dad passed away from. So I'm basically running in memory for my dad. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for sharing that.
Thank you
so much, Jeep, for coming.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you for having me.